You have just tapped into the Christian Life Coach Collective, and I'm your host, Laura Malone. I'm here to equip and encourage coaches in skills, business, personal life, and faith. I believe you're already 100% worthy and capable, and you're called for such a time as this. So let's get you walking it out with courage and confidence so you can be an amazing coach who sees transformation and great results in both your life and the lives around you. Let's get started. We are at myth number 19. If a client's not succeeding, it must mean that I'm failing as a coach. And I want to name that for what it is. It's really a heavy, false burden. Because if you've ever sat across from anyone, let's say a child, a friend, anybody who is struggling to make progress, and you've thought, what am I doing wrong? The reality is that you can only do what you can do. You can't take all the action. You can't change somebody else's mind. You can't shift how they feel, what their brains do when they're triggered. You can't do any of that. You definitely have to look at, what am I doing? How am I showing up? Am I doing this well as a coach for what a coach is supposed to do? But you can't take responsibility for every client's success. You can't guarantee them or yourself or expect it that they will always get incredible results. There are clients who cycle and keep trying. There are clients who cycle and don't keep trying. And there are clients who run really fast and they sprint and then they wear themselves out and they lose traction for one reason or another because life happens. There are clients who go the distance of the marathon only to make it to like the last mile and something takes them out. This is their life in operation. This is the human element in front of you. You can only take responsibility for what you're doing, and you should always be assessing that, asking yourself if you're showing up fully and being present and leading well as a coach. But you can't take on the heavy burden and responsibility of all of the success for the client. This is one of those lies that it doesn't come in loud and like big and obvious. It's, I think, very subtle. And it creeps in, especially like if a client kind of disappears, like you get ghosted by a client. Sometimes people will even keep paying for coaching, but not want to show up. Or if somebody says, I just need to take a break, or they keep canceling, or a client isn't following through, but you keep bending over backwards trying to like re-engage them, invite them, ask them questions. Hey, how else can I help you? And then you start wondering, like, was my coaching not good enough? Did I miss something? Should I have poured out more? Should I have pushed less? And if you don't catch these thoughts and self-coach yourself through them, it's going to tangle itself into your sense of identity and your purpose as a coach. So let's pause right here to shift the lens you're looking through and your interpretation of when things like this happen. Biblical truth reminds us that we are these seed planters, but God is the one who brings the growth. So we don't actually control transformation. We just partner with it, right? It's the same in coaching, where we get to steward the space that we hold for our clients. We get to offer tools. We get to hold vision with them and reflect the truth, but the client is the one who has to take the steps. They have to make the move and take the action, right? They have to choose to use the tools that you offer them. So I've worked with some clients who are very smart, highly driven, and definitely called to be coaches, but session after session, they would show up saying they hadn't done what we talked about in the last session that was their action plan for moving the needle. And in hindsight, I know that this is really normal for a lot of people. And I always try to respond with curiosity and with grace now, but I would say in the early years of coaching, this would have allowed all those little doubts to creep in, like maybe I'm not the right coach for her, or she doesn't really like my coaching style or who I am as a person, maybe my personality, right? Not everybody's favorite flavor of ice cream. I would think maybe I didn't make the right suggestions, even though she responded like those suggestions were what she wanted and she was making choices around them. Or maybe I should help her with her mindset more before we move into the action plan that she said she was ready for. I would kind of second guess a lot. And I would pray and I would reevaluate. I would tweak my approach. And still, with certain clients, there was no change. What happened was that one of my clients actually paused coaching, and that kind of left me with a little bit of an ache, like, like a weird ache in my gut. That's, that strange feeling when you're like, I don't know what happened. Should I be embarrassed? You're lacking the knowledge and awareness about a situation and you don't know what to do about it. So I was thinking, like, what could I have done differently, or did I do something wrong? And I think this is definitely an obvious question to ask, but it's not an appropriate burden to place on yourself. So months later, that client reached back out, the one who had canceled coaching, and she said, it wasn't you. I simply wasn't ready, but I kept hearing your voice in my head. It was stuck with me. And when I was finally ready, I remembered the things that we talked about and I started doing them. And so I'm in a totally different place now. Thank you for what you did then, and I'm ready to start taking action again. So I saw, like, okay, there are seeds that we sow, and we can help water seeds that have been sown, but there are seasons for growth, and we don't always get to see the fruit of our coaching. That doesn't mean something's not growing under the surface, but the truth of that is that you are not responsible for your clients' results. You are responsible for your presence and your preparation, your integrity, and your commitment to grow and listen and show up well and be a great guide, right? But you are not responsible for what they choose to do with the session, the tools, or the insight that they get. That all belongs to them. And I would say that if you try to carry their responsibility, then you actually rob them of the growth that they came to you to get. You become the gardener digging up the seed every 2 days, wondering why it hasn't sprouted. But your job is just to trust the process and keep showing up. Keep growing as a coach. Keep offering good coaching. Keep pointing them back to the truth that they are not helpless. They're not broken. They are powerful. They are capable of change. They have higher capacity that you believe in and you're calling them to. Even if they don't act on it right away and they circle the same mountain longer than you wish they would, and probably more, longer than they wish they were circling. And even if their progress doesn't match up with your hopes and dreams for the results, because sometimes coaching isn't about the forward motion or the destination. It is about creating a space that's just safe enough for somebody to finally tell the truth or cry or get kind of quiet enough to hear what God is saying to them. And that matters. So what I want you to do this week, because this myth is very sneaky, and you might not even think that you don't believe this, but sometimes you just need to look it straight in the face and say, oh, I see you there. So just take a few minutes, reflect on one time when a client had any ounce of success. It doesn't have to be huge or dramatic, like they took the whole journey and completed it. It's just a revelation moment that they had, an aha, or wow, I never thought of it that way. Or this session helped me kind of believe again or breathe again. And then write down that 1 ounce of success and reread it and let it remind you of the impact that you've already made and the part that's really yours to care about, and release the rest of it, because the fruit comes in season and your job is not to force fruit or force results to happen. And you can't expect to form your identity and purpose as a coach around somebody else's results. You have to shape your purpose and calling around the results in your life. That's the only thing you have any power over. So your job is just to be faithful. Be a good steward as a coach. You're called to this. You can do this. You're fully capable of it. I totally believe in you. And I would love to work with you around all of these myths. So click the notes in the show notes. Click the link if you want to book a session, or you want to look into becoming a coach with Sterling and Stone. And if you want to potentially apply for a future mastermind, then definitely keep your eye out. Get on the email list and you'll be in the know when that launches, because it's definitely cycling through my head, maybe towards the second half of this year. Also, I don't think that I've said this for quite a few episodes, but I did start a second podcast. It's called Storymakers, specifically for women of faith. And it's all about knowing your true identity, letting that draw you into the purpose that you are created for, which helps you discover where you belong. And there's two levels of this. There's that foundational identity, purpose, and belonging in the kingdom, your identity in Christ, your purpose in the spiritual kingdom, and your belonging as a daughter or a son in the Father's house, right? But then there's that individual, unique identity, purpose, and belonging, and the self-leadership that you could cultivate. So Storymakers is a podcast. Everywhere you can find this podcast, Christian Life Coach Collective, you can find Storymakers. So please jump in and listen and share it, because it's been really powerful. I have had some incredible conversations with women who you're going to hear from. I really want it to be a place where you can hear possibilities and hear women be examples and models of what is possible in your life, how to grow, how to do things, how to take massive action, how to push through barriers and go around obstacles, and all of these things that you're wondering, like, how do I figure out who I am, what I'm supposed to be doing, and like, where do I fit? These are the three human core questions we're all looking for. The answers are found in Christ, and He wants to give you the opportunity to partner with Him in discovering the answers at a very individual level. That is literally my goal in Storymakers, to be able to help you do that. So it's a lot of self-leadership, self-coaching opportunities there. I want to help equip you and release you to walk out your daily life from truth, right? So there's a lot of crossover between Storymakers, which is a lot of life coaching, and then Christian Life Coaching, Christian Life Coach Collective, where there's a lot of business coaching, coaching. And this podcast, I used to weave them all together for the past 3 years. I was weaving my life coaching and my business coaching, my spiritual guidance, all together. And I have specifically delineated between the two and started Storymakers this probably January, February, I guess, it was launched. And that is specifically for women who want to dive deeper into their true identity, purpose, and belonging, and really learn how to lead themselves well so they can, impact their spheres of influence as wives and moms and friends and daughters and employees and entrepreneurs and neighbors. But also Christian Life Coach Collective is here for you if you are wanting to be a coach, add coaching to your already, formed ministry or business, whatever you're doing. Even if you just want to know, like, how do I help the people right in front of me, even if I'm not charging, right? Or this is here for you if you want to start a business and you're looking at, like, how do I do that? So there's kind of two different realms inside of Sterling and Stone mentoring and coaching. And I invite you to dive deeper into both. So visit sterlingandstonementoring.com and check out everything that's going on over there, because it's really building, and God is adding and expanding the place of my tent. I bless you, friend. Love you, and I believe in you. So cultivate deeper belief in yourself today. Talk to you next time.
Thanks for listening. For more coaching resources and to learn how to work with me, head to sterlingandstonementoring.com or click the link in the show notes. Remember, walk boldly in your calling, and I'll talk to you next time.